Okay, we're live. We are live on the YouTube. Now let's put it on the Facebook and the Insta, and here we go. Live today. This is Matt Drankon, your host of the Eternal Optimist podcast and Pro Advisor Coach. Boom, look at that logo right there. Pro Advisor Coach, the premier coaching organization in the United States of America. That is the mission. And as we get started here today, here's a couple thoughts. One, this is day 36 of 100 days of eternal optimism. Yes, 100 days. Whew. It can feel like a marathon sometimes if you go one day at a time. It can also feel like a sprint if you look back and look at all the things we've accomplished in 36 days. If you recall, or if this is your first time watching, here's why we're doing this. The reason why. In 100 days of eternal optimism, the mission is to do two things. Two things to make progress in two journeys we're on, two big bucket list dreams we have. Number one is to write and publish a book in 100 days. Number two is to create a mastermind course so we can serve the masses. So I've got those two things. Those are the two big dreams, big bucket list, big goals. Let me give you an update on them first. Number one, with the book. Yesterday, we had an amazing meeting with Carol, who is one of the leaders of the company. I'm working with Mark Victor Hansen's publishing company, the Mark Victor Hansen Library, to publish the book. And Carol McManus, is the woman that's helping me to write the book. She's helping me get the outline, lay everything out. And I'm going to read to you a little bit about Carol, a little bit about my day yesterday in the journal. So we're going to read the journal to kick off here. All right, so let's go. Day 36, 100 Days of Eternal Optimism, March 24th, 2023. Set aside time for positive pursuits. Set aside time for positive pursuits. So I've set aside some time for these positive pursuits, and I just share with you what the mission is in these 100 days. I'm going to share with you three meaningful, magical moments from yesterday that happened in life. Number one, the discussion with my publisher, Carol, was a meaningful discussion. It was the first time I've ever had a discussion like that, and I didn't know where she would lead me or where I would take her. We got a very clear outline, clear as mud at this time. It'll keep crystallizing. Clear outline of a 180-page book with 12 chapters. The main characters are outlined. Chapters are linked to learning lessons or issues or stories, hard things that the character has undergone and overcome. And she said she hasn't worked with an author before who was as clear on the outline as me, which that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool to hear. It was a cool conversation. I'm doing my number two. So here's where number two comes in. The second thing I'm really grateful for. Number two, I'm doing my miracle morning right now at 5:25 a.m. I got up at 4:30, and both of my older children are here with me doing it too. So Lily and Lucy were both doing the miracle morning with me this morning. Now their version of the miracle morning is a little bit different than mine, because Lily had some math homework, and she was working on the math homework. Lucy was coloring in a book. She drew in a little journal a different bird on every page and wrote out the name of the bird and it's coloring page by page. Those are meaningful, magical moments that happened yesterday, or that happened yesterday and this morning. So I want to live in that. I want to live in that moment and give you an idea. Here's the right here is the sunflower that they put in my journal, and over here is some of the math homework. That I was working with Lily on. So that happened this morning. And that's as far as I got in my journal today. The intention was to journal a number of other things that happened yesterday, but this will be the live journal accounting of that. So I want to talk about the book for a moment. It was exciting to go through this process with Carol yesterday. It was the 1 hour call on the schedule yesterday that I was unclear exactly where it was going to go. I like to go into every discussion I have in a coaching capacity, having an idea, whether it's a clear or whether it's vague, some idea of where we're going to go. And I wasn't exactly sure because Carol was leading it and she was pulling out of me all of this stuff. So I was excited about it, but that was a brand new conversation. Have you ever had a conversation that you've not had before and it brought you a little nerves, brought you a little anxiety, or just brought you a little bit of this energy? And for me, it wasn't nerves or anxiety. It was just this creative, positive tension. I was excited. I was ready to move forward with it. And it was a really, really cool conversation. I haven't had a conversation like that before about writing a book. So she walked me on the path. She asked me all the questions and we came up with a clear outline of the book. So very excited to make some progress in the book. And I was sharing with my wife last night as we were working on a puzzle. I was sharing with her part of the book outline, and she said, "Well, I hope it doesn't sound like this." And then she named a book that she didn't care for, and I said, "No, it's more in the vein of like Paulo Coelho's The Alchemist, or Dan Millman's The Way of the Peaceful Warrior, or any of the other fictional books that follow a protagonist on a hero's journey that share real life lessons, not autobiographical in nature, more a compilation of lessons learned throughout the life of the hero. So it's a fictional book with a lot of real life application, and it's going to be fun. It's going to be good. It's going to be awesome. I'm looking forward to getting it out there to the world. So I hope you all enjoy it when it comes out. It'll be out by Christmas. That's the book. The second thing I want to talk about today, which is around business, and this is a really great coaching topic. It's around scaling your practices and scaling your business. And I want to give you a timeline and give you a chronological breakdown of a couple of things that have happened in my career around scaling. And I'll start with the story that I shared yesterday. When I started in the coaching business, I won't even go into scaling in the previous businesses. We'll just start right now in the coaching business. And if you're out there listening and you have a business, or you want to get more efficient at something, or you want to improve or enhance something, or you have an objective to get back time, and you want to figure out, how do I optimize for time in my business or in my life, in my routines, in my chores, whatever it is. And you could be of any age, in any level in business, or any place in life. And this can apply to anywhere. Just think of it as I'm going to walk you through a timeline. I'm going to start over here. This is the beginning of the timeline. This is 9 years ago in coaching. And let's walk it up to today. And somewhere in that timeline, there is a story of how we've become more efficient, how we've scaled in a business. And I'm going to walk you through a couple of aspects of that might serve you in your world, friends. So let's start with the aspect of 9 years ago, when I got involved with Pro Advisor Coach and joined Rich Campy's organization. One of the best decisions ever. Of course, the best decision was marrying Julie, because she is amazing. Go, babe. Right? So that was the best decision. The best professional decision was joining Rich Campy's organization at Pro Advisor Coach. And I've been here for 9 years. 9 years in September. 9 years. And I've known Rich for, man, I met him in 2012, December 14th, 2012. So I guess it's been 10, almost 10 and a half years. I joined him a year and a half after I met him. So in any event, in the scaling of the business, when I started in coaching, I was running the business from a yellow pad, meaning that I'm talking over my tiny laptop in the small corner of the room. It's in the same room, but it was in a small corner of the room. I'm talking on the laptop, or talking through the webcam on the laptop, talking through the laptop speakers, using over here one black pen and a yellow pad, and taking notes. And by the end of the first year of coaching, I had a number of yellow pads, which I don't have anymore. I didn't keep them. But if after the first year in coaching, I had all these yellow pads. And if you're wondering, what's a yellow pad? It's a legal pad. It's just a piece of paper, a notepad, right? So I used that for the first year. And at the end, I had so many yellow pads. It was frustrating because the pages were going everywhere. So I immediately, after about a year in business, I switched from yellow pads to journals. And I started to keep notes in journals. That's about 1 year in. Started to use journals. So I'm about 2 years into business, 2.5. I'm in the third year of coaching. And in year 3 of coaching, I learned from Michael Vines, who was instrumental in helping Rich to work and found and work through the technology aspect and the financial aspect of Pro Advisor Coach in the background. Michael was amazing. I look up to him every time I see him. Unfortunately, sometimes I will use profanity to make a humorous point or to emphasize a point. And Michael always gives me the stink eye when I do that. So I will not use profanity today on this channel. But I remember Michael, he taught me a little bit about efficiency. And there's 2 things about efficiency and scaling that Michael taught me. He showed me how, instead of using yellow pads, instead of using journals, I started to use the cloud. And the Pro Advisor Coach here at this company we have a robust platform and a website. And in that website, we have the ability to keep track of all the client activities. We use these very, very cool dials that look like little odometers. We keep track of progress and trends towards the goals. And I share all of that to say that in my about 3.5 years into coaching, I did not use any more legal pads or any more journals. I started to type. So instead of writing like this, now I'm able to look at the client the whole time in the webcam, and I'm able to use it and type the whole time, right? So that's what happened in my scaling that got to that point. And I used for approximately about 5 years. For 5 years, I used typing and used my computer, my keyboard. I'm really fast at typing. I type over 100 words a minute, so I'm really quick at that. And I typed a bunch of stuff in there, right? So it's all in the cloud. And let's keep scaling, let's keep moving forward. The advantage of that is it's all in one place. It was easy to get all the information in there. It's easy to track by date where everything is. Very simple, very efficient, very scalable compared to where it was before. Then there was the next thing is that I type so much, just the way that I communicate. I tend to over communicate and go really granular and deep into things. And I looked at my notes and there was just so much in there. And I found that I didn't have the capacity or capabilities to do some of the things I wanted to do. So what did I do next? Well, in July of 2022 of last year, after I met another person who's changed my life for the better, a man by the name of Hector Santiesteban, who is a former Cutco district manager, who I met through the Front Row Dads. I was referred to Hector by Mr. Qasim Aslam, who is one of the top Google Ads, Google partners in the world. And Qasim made the introduction to Hector. Hector showed me how he is using an app called Notion to keep track of all of his notes. So I went to Google and I typed in Notion. I looked at Notion. It's an application. And then I typed in the most efficient productivity apps for note taking. And I found Notion. I found something called Good Notes 5. Good Notes 5. And I downloaded Good Notes 5 and Notion. I tried them both out, and I found that Good Notes 5 was great for me. So the fourth iteration of the scale came when I switched from yellow pads to journals to typing all my notes in the cloud on the platform to now I keep track of everything in Good Notes 5. And I'm going to show you Good Notes 5 at some point in the future when I figure out how to do that while I'm using the phone, the iPad, and the computer. I know how to do it on the computer. I just show you my document camera and switch cameras, but I don't know how to do it on the other devices yet. That's 4 iterations of scale in about 9 years that have saved me an immense amount of time. And there's so many features and benefits and advantages to using Good Notes over just the cloud, over just journals and just yellow pads. They save me a lot of time because now I can get to the notes hyper fast. And I'd share this, that I'll just grab a book. I happen to have this book right over here. The One Thing is the book that just came closest to my hand. And in the One Thing, if you look at what I have in here, I'll share with you this, that I write in books. Some people say this is heresy, it's witchcraft. I don't believe so. I like to keep track of the notes, but I had this challenge that I would highlight all these great things in books, and guess what? Over time, I would forget because I read so many books. I'm reading like 100 books a year, and then maybe 50 books last year, right? And I'm not saying that to flex. I'm saying that because I just really enjoy reading. And I felt that by pouring all this knowledge in the brain, that it was all just sinking in, and much of it was, but not all of it was, right? And I don't remember some of the anecdotal stories and things I could use to coach people. So every place that I went and I highlighted and took a note, I went back to Good Notes 5, the app, on my iPad, and I took a photograph of that page. So now this One Thing book in this Good Notes 5 app, I've got every page of everything that I underlined or highlighted. There's probably about 40 things in this book that I highlighted or that I colored. Now I've got those things just snapshotted underneath a folder of the One Thing. And I have this for like 100 books. So at scale, now I've got all of this knowledge and information on the shelf behind me and the shelves over there. And I don't have all the books categorized in here yet, like the Dewey Decimal System, but I have a number of them in here. Probably about 100. And I will go, if I'm looking to teach a specific coaching lesson, a very nuanced lesson for a very specific client situation, I will go into my Good Notes 5. I will go and look at all of these entries and I will write down the lesson at the top of the page I might be able to use and teach people. That's a lesson in scale. And I'm gonna share this with you right here, just to give you an example of one of them. Okay, this is The One Thing by Gary Keller and Jay Papasan. Life is a question. Why focus on a question when what we really crave is an answer? It's simple. Answers come from questions, and the quality of any answer is directly determined by the quality of the question. Ask the most powerful question possible, and the answer can be life altering. The philosopher Voltaire once wrote, "Judge a man by his question rather than his answers." Okay? Sir Francis Bacon added, "A prudent question is one half of wisdom." Okay? So this little lesson right here about asking questions, I've got this page. I will pull this up on my overhead projector, aka called the document camera, and I will share that as I am coaching and leading people, right? So that's a lesson in scale of how I take notes. That's one little granular place in the coaching business that we figured out scale and how we take notes and how we communicate with people, right? That's one lesson. I'll share with you another one that's been amazing. And this might be applicable to many of you out there. If you lead people, if you're in a lot of meetings, then here might be an opportunity for you. If you're someone out there who's in a lot of meetings virtually, on Zoom, go to meeting, you name it, Teams, then consider this. How might AI, artificial intelligence, be able to serve you as you scale and grow your practice? It's a concept that's hitting right now. A lot of early adopters are already using it and they are taking massive advantage in scaling their businesses. I'm taking massive advantage in scaling the business by using AI right now. If people were to take the time to study it and figure out how they might use it to their advantage, and it might serve you. So I'll give you a little glimpse behind the camera and share with you a couple things about AI that you might be able to use. And because of the time I'm looking at right now, I got to take the kids to school in a minute. I'll just give you one little teaser and we'll have a follow-up day of Eternal Optimism where we go over all the AI apps I'm using that are saving a lot of time. So the first one I'll share is one that's called Otter.ai. Otter, O-T-T-E-R .ai, Otter.ai. And how do I use this? It's really simple. It's really simple. You go to the Otter.ai website, you take a look at it, and what it does is it keeps track of meeting notes. Meeting notes, right? So I've been talking about meeting notes for the whole last 10 minutes. Well, what this does is that as I am live in a conversation with a client, if a conversation with a client's an hour, for example, like I had several of them yesterday, the Otter AI app shows up in my Zoom room like an extra participant. And its job is to sit there, and all it does is it takes notes for me. It speaks in the chat box and it says, "Welcome to Otter AI. I'm Coach Matt's virtual assistant. I'm going to be taking notes. If you want to follow along live with the transcript, word for word, click this link." So you click the link and you can see a word for word transcript, everything that's happening. So if you miss an important point, you can see it live over on the side screen as it's happening. That's one advantage, is you get to see your live transcript. The second advantage is that when you get near the end of your discussion, the scheduled time, it'll pop up in the chat box again. It'll tell you, "Hey, we got a few minutes to go. Be sure to wrap up your meeting," right? Next, after that, when the meeting is done, it will send you an email. And the email will summarize point by point. Here are several of the high points in the discussion. At this minute, like 1 minute and 48 seconds, this was talked about. At 5 minutes and 12 seconds, this was talked about. And it'll give you a bullet pointed list of the major points of 5 or 10 major points. And then it'll give you a list of action items at the very bottom. You can forward this straight to the client. You can have it automatically sent to the client or sent to your team as you conclude the meeting. It will automate and do all that for you. It's time to go to school. Is it time to go to school?
Look, it's 7:20.
It's 7:20. It must be time to go to school. All right. Well, that is going to wrap up the AI portion of the morning. Thank you so much for checking in. This is your host for the Eternal Optimist podcast and pro advisor coach, Matt Drinkon. Great to see you this morning. Lily, what do you have to say to all of the billions of people that are watching out there, or the 6 people that are watching out there? What do you have to say?
Goodbye.
Oh, goodbye. Well, that's it. All right, team. That's it.
No,
Goodbye.
click finish.
You want to click finish? Okay. You just click and finish. We're done.
Wait, can I click it on the screen?
No, that screen up there.
I'll do it.
Hold on. Here we go. You can click the
Oh,
the
okay.
button now.
Stream.
End stream. Here, I'm going to do it, Lily.
No, I know what to do.
You figuring it out? Okay, cool. While you're figuring it out, I'm going to finish this Instagram post so we can get to school. I want you to figure it out, Lily.
Okay, I'm trying to figure it out.
I'm sure you can do it, babe.
This thing keeps moving.
All right, step aside, please. Mommy is having some stuff there. Your sisters, something's happening in the background. I got to wrap this thing up here. Shoes, socks. Let's get ready to rock.